Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, the Versace Stunner. We're back with a very special episode of VSW Podcast. That's right. We got the one and only. He's one of the hottest tickets right now on the indie scene, Diego Alvarez.
That is me, baby. Hell yeah. Glad to be here, man.
Welcome aboard. What you smoking on over there?
I got myself a little pre-roll right here from the dispensary. Just got out of the gym, you know.
Definitely Versace Stoner approved then.
Of course.
Great stuff. But yeah, thank you for coming on. You know, we're going to talk a little bit about your career. I got to see you a few times last year, which was very exciting, in different parts of New England, which is always exciting too. I love seeing people in different, spots because it's a little bit tweaked. What they do is a little bit tweaked. And in your instance, it was actually, in one place you were solo and in the other place you were tagged up, which was really cool to see you be versatile like that. Because some guys are either one or the other, but you just pulled both of them off. But let's start with the basics. When did you get into becoming a pro wrestler?
I started training back in February of 2018 with New England Pro Wrestling Academy over with Chase Del Monte, Scott Guerin.
Yeah.
At the time, it was Brian Fury that was running it, I believe. But I was very on and off with training. So I would only, I wasn't very consistent with wrestling until I would say like after the pandemic, really after 2020, 2021 is really when I started becoming more consistent with training. When I switched over to the Bell Time Club with Bo Douglas, Frank
Champion. He knows best. Great foundation on both accounts. Starting at New England Pro, they're a great school. I actually did one of their training camp for the day there, and it was just very insightful and a lot of work. And and they have a great heritage line. And same thing with Bo. Both of them, with the Kowalski heritage line, it's really great to see. But yeah, the pandemic kind of just, I feel bad for people that were getting in right before because it was everything just came to a halt. And you had to kind of keep with it through if you were already on the scene, keep with it through social media or something. Otherwise, you'd just be forgotten about. Some people never came back. Some people, came back totally different. It was a weird time for pro wrestling. But so pandemic ended, you came back, you went to the Bell Time, picked up basically where you left off. And then working from there, where did you start? You started to venture out, work for some promotions?
Yeah, it was in 2022 is actually when I switched over to Bell Time. I had a number of months off, and I was like, you know what? I really want to get back into wrestling. I know I have something, and that's really in May of 2022 is really where I switched over to Bell Time, talked to Bo, started training with him, and I really got my start with Vermont and ETWA.
Oh, wow. So all the way up.
That's really where I got the first match. That
was like your debut match coming out, really. And so and so would you work for them for a while? That was your home base. And let me ask something now. What made you back, even back in 2018, what made you want to be a pro wrestler? It's not for everybody. But for a lot of people it can be, and a lot of people that go. But I just like to see what brings people to it.
I was always just a fan, just like most wrestlers. I loved wrestling growing up, and it was really after high school where I thought, you know what, everybody always has the what ifs in life, and I always thought, you know what, if this person can do it, if anybody else can do it, I know I can do it. And, I started taking, going to the gym more religiously after high school, started getting in better shape because I always had wrestling in the back of my mind. And in 2022, I finally just, I just put on the gas and I just kept on going with it. And
now, was there anybody that you would watch? Was there anybody that you would watch that would inspire you? You'd be like, yeah, I love this dude.
Oh, Eddie Guerrero. And Eddie Guerrero, really, that's one of the top guys. Edge, even though he did what he did, but Chris Benoit, he was a big influence in, my, growing up as a wrestling fan. Guys like that, Rey Mysterio, really, all those guys from back in the mid-2000s.
It's funny because your style overall screams late 80s Rick Rude.
Oh, yeah. I always go back and watch, stuff from the 80s and 90s, guys like Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, Ric Flair.
You definitely have some of those. You definitely have some of those moves. I've seen, the neck breaker. I've seen, even just some of your, just style, and it's a great blend. But yeah, those guys, Edge, Benoit, that was a very exciting time for wrestling. It got kind of reinvented. Once again, it would be like another era. And so many people, would watch that era and become just lifelong fans. Me, I go back a little bit earlier, Hogan and Andre and all of those guys. But,
of course,
definitely something about watching it on TV and then, getting to do it. When I tried to get into wrestling, it was one of those things where, me and my friends would always talk about, hey, we're going to do this, And at the time, it wasn't New England Pro. It was actually run by Killer Kowalski. It was his school. And so we, some of us went down there and, me being 5'8", my friend being 5'2", and like everybody being really small, they were just like, nah, this ain't happening. At the time for wrestling, though, it was a time when they really were looking for bigger men, big men, whether, whatever it was. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. Wrestling is much more versatile. It's more athletic. It's more for, like I said, more inclusive too. It's more can be for anyone. If, you can be smaller and make it work. You can be larger and make it work. It's just how do you want to work it? But yeah, so I always say that, but that's great. So you follow that passion. You started working up in Vermont. You're making a name up for yourself. Then you started, would you just start working through New England?
Yeah, really. I just started working through New England, ETWA, WFA is another place that I've been working, frequently at. Let's Wrestle over in Maine.
They're a great, I know Let's Wrestle is a great, I actually got to go out there for the first time last month. I've been like a fan of the Limitless himself, but it's a long ride for me. I live in Math, and it was about a 5-hour ride out there. But I usually do the Yarmouth shows. But yeah, that was a great night. And Randy Carver Jr. puts on just a hell of a show.
Yeah, he puts on great shows every time, especially when I'm on it, of course,
Well, yeah, of course. You had a very, we'll jump a little bit forward, and then we can always go back. But you had a very great tag team match that night, actually. And you took the win over, well, they're no longer there, MSP.
I'd like to mention that Lex Lozano and I are fully responsible for the death of MSP. I just want to throw that out there. We are responsible for the demise of MSP. It's no coincidence that the week after the weekend we beat them, they split up. Like, we were that breaking point, man.
It is. And, it's been coming for a while. A lot of people, were very upset about the breakup. But to be honest, I would have broken up when they lost way back when against, Danny Garcia and Blackwood when they blew their chances to getting tag titles. I would have broken up then. It wasn't working then. It didn't work now. But, the people were there for them. I saw the line, and I scooted over to your line and just got myself a nice little photo. And I was like, I'd like to take photos with the winners. And it was about that next week. It was just all over for MSP.
Of course, and we're responsible for that. I want everybody to know that, whoever watches this.
There'll be people watching. I hope. Mr. Randy Carver Jr. will probably be watching this. So at least he'll know. But what came first? So you started singles though, correct? You started running in singly. I've seen you in NCW. You had talk about another great victory. You won the Ox Baker Cup.
Yes, I did.
That's like the money in the bank over there. Now you get to pick and choose, your champion and when and where to strike. And, that's a very nice place to be in.
Well, yeah, a lot of great wrestlers there. There's a lot of guys that I still haven't wrestled yet. Guys like, the champion Montero himself. He's definitely number one on my list when it comes to NCW.
Yeah, they have, it's funny because back, when I got in, I took some time off away from wrestling, around after the time of the Benoit incident, I was just like, I had to just step away. And I stepped away for a while and came back through the indie scene, actually, in around 2017. I stepped foot in an NCW show, and because it was close by. And I was just bewildered at, the quality of wrestling that took place. Because, back in the day when I went to indie shows, it was, a bunch of unknown guys and then like 4X WWE guys and then one good WWE guy to take photos of it. And that's just how it always was. I remember I saw like Honky Tonk Man, Doink the Clown, and then like a bunch of unknown people. But this was different. Everybody had a role. Everybody had a spot. Everybody had something, to them. Everybody had a personality. And, one of the people that struck out at it was Mike Montero and the Dirt City Murder Crew. And I'll always be their fan. And I've kind of seen him grow since then. He's one hell of a wrestler and a worker in the industry. And, it will be a tough challenge to snag that title, but you have that opportunity. And you have that opportunity to get that match, now, and kind of fast track things. How was it in the triple threat, though? How did you overcome those obstacles? Because triple threats can be kind of tricky. And you were with some veterans there. Robbie the Giant is, another excellent wrestler in NCW.
Well, I did have a little help. I'm an honest man. I paid off, the hard work heroes, did my thing, and I got the win. You got to do whatever it takes to win. It's a triple threat match. It was my first triple threat match, too, so I had to make sure that I had everything covered. And look what happened. I ended up getting the victory. That's what you got to do sometimes.
Now, would you consider them your kind of allies in NCW, kind of, watching each other's backs?
It's a love-hate relationship, with us and the hard work heroes, because as you know, they're belt time trained too. So there is that connection there, So whether we're facing each other, whether we're working with each other, it doesn't matter. It's all, belt time always protects belt time.
I feel that. Now, let me ask you, when did you decide to jump into tag matching? Because that's a whole different game, I feel.
Honestly, I was really just put into it. It just so happened with the Cold Hard True Johnny Pierce, my now former tag team partner, the Cold Hard Guapos. That's how it started off. Our second match together is where we captured the ETWA tag team titles, and I think that was only like my third match as a tag team, fourth maybe. Definitely less than 10 tag team matches. So I really just got plucked right into it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of just different. A lot of people, they'll either maybe start as a tag or they don't want to do singles, or they're singles and they're just like, I can't tag. But you've made it work, and you've made it work not as like a makeshift tag, but actually making it as like a legit tag team, which is a big pet peeve of mine in any tag team wrestlers. When you just get two guys thrown together, they walk out separate, they have not matching gear, or they don't even have the same kind of demeanor. It's like, this is boring. I love, I grew up in a very, I would say, excellent time for tag team wrestling. You had the Rockets, you had, Demolition, Powers of Pain, all these high-flying, just total tag teams. And sometimes, down the line, it got lost. You brought that back again. I do commend that. I commend that to anybody that has a tag team partner, that they come out as an actual tag team working together.
And I always feel like tag teams should be one. You know what I mean? When you look at both of them, you just see one entity, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I feel like I have that with my
working together. There shouldn't be those trust issues like what happened with MSP. It should never get to that point. There should be talk after the match. You guys are a solid unit. Losses and wins, they happen, but if there's something of an error that someone did, I mean, it should be discussed and just dealt with, and kind of not brought into the public's eye of, wow, all these problems have been going on. We've been smiling to y'all for months.
Unfortunately, that's what happened with me and my former tag team partner now, Johnny Pierce. We had some miscommunication and it all blew up this past Sunday. But I do have my other tag team partner, of course. Well, my single tag team partner, Lex Lozano. Him and I click like that. As you saw with the match with MSP, when we come out, I truly believe it's just one person. We just fit each other very well.
Yeah, you guys do, and I was really impressed with that. Like I said, it brought me back to that time of old school tag teams. And like I said, you having those old school moves, it really did bring back an era of wrestling. And you know, as that, you know, you guys kind of make a name, you know, that's great. And you know, like I said, you know, things do happen, fallouts do happen. Not all tag teams are made to last forever. Whatever happened between, you know, you and, you know, Cold Hard, it happened. You know, you saw
That's all
how
you know. So
I mean, and sometimes it's just business. I mean, look what happened with NCW that night, you know, with his new manager. I mean, he was just business with them.
that's true.
Sometimes it just happens this way. And you got to kind of follow the money trail and do what's best for, you know, yourself. Um, is there any, you know, you said you worked all these places, you know, kind of in the thing. Is there any promotions on the horizon that you're just dying to get to?
Definitely a few that have been on my mind. Wrestling Open.
Yep.
I definitely want to get there. And at some
Probably
point, because
I would say they're the number one. I would say, you know, Beyond Wrestling is probably like the number one. I would say just across the industry, standard of industry, you know, this is the number one. Wrestling Open, just a great, it's a great platform for all wrestlers to get on. It's just really getting people noticed, which is, you know, why I started this podcast, getting people noticed. I would love to see you on Wrestling Open. I think that would, you know, be a really big impact. There's been other bell time stars there. You had Alec Price running rampant on there.
Yep.
You know, and that's the thing, you know, where you came from produces a lot of stars.
A lot of them. Open, I mean, definitely I look to be one of them.
Well, you already are one of them. You're already picking up it. You just ended a legendary main favorite tag team. I mean, you're already there.
You're right.
You're right. Calling you the legend killer.
There you go. Hell yeah, we are. We're the new vibe, as they say. We're the new vibe. It's the new vibe.
The new vibe is suave.
Yes, sir. I love that.
Okay, so Wrestling Open, definitely one of them. What else you got looking at?
Just because it was the first school that I started off with, Chaotic Wrestling would be awesome to be a part of. You know, to get some matches in there. That would be awesome. They bring in big crowds and whatnot.
That would be a lot of fun. They are great. You know, I always rank the the promotion sometimes, well, at least the top three, and I always just go in this order, just based off numbers solely, and just, you know, quality. I always go, you know, Beyond, Limitless, and then Chaotic. Chaotic always comes in. You know, they're right there, and they produce, you know, great shows. They have great storylines.
Yes, they do.
And they have great, you know, characters. Great characters.
They got great wrestlers. They got a lot of great talent there that I still haven't mixed it up with.
Speaking of great character, I could even see you like over like at like Rad Pro or something doing, you know, like other character work there too. That's a fun promotion.
Oh, I've seen some of the videos. It's a lot of fun. A little throwback to like the '90s style of things, you know, with the characters.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because people get to kind of play a different role.
Different.
So okay, so you got, you know, your promotion. You want to work for Chaotic or get in matches in there, and, you know, definitely get on Wrestling. That would be nice, you know, because like I said, they you know, that's one thing that I have to say about the pandemic that kind of brought out a rejuvenation for like wrestling in itself, indie wrestling, anyways.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, there you go.
And I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people didn't like doing them because they were kind of annoying. And there's no fans and there's no, you know, hype, and you can't sell merch. You're not making money, and I don't even know if some of them are getting paid. But that's, you know, tapings. But as a fan and as a, you know, podcaster and someone that like to follow along, I love tapings because every week there was like, you know, 4 or 5 matches you could easily follow along to, kind of review them, go through them. They would talk about the next 4 matches. You kind of recap, review. You know, Beyond was the first one to do it, kind of with Masterclass. They came out. Limitless came out with The Road and with the Dojo. And a lot of people got their start on that. And, you know, then NCW started doing tapings. And Chaotic started doing tapings. And we started getting all these weekly shows. And that's one thing that Beyond has kind of brought to indie wrestling, is a weekly platform show that you can follow along to. That the same quality as like anything that the TV wrestling can provide. And it's great seeing, you know, people that you've seen. Because I watch IWTV. It's great seeing, you know, people that you've seen, you know, VFW, small VFWs in front of, you know, 20 people, you know, 3 months ago. And all of a sudden, you know, they're in a packed house at, you know, the White Eagle on IWTV. You know, that's great exposure for people. And it really brings out, it really, gets people interested in being an indie wrestler because they can get that exposure without having to, I mean, yeah, you have to put in the work, but it's reachable. It's not, way out there where before, like, to get noticed, you have to make it to WWE, or it was either WWE or bust, like there wasn't all these other promotions. There was no AEW. Impact was, people weren't into, these other places. But now, there's many options as an indie star to kind of get noticed without having to go to WWE, without having to, become a national superstar.
Yeah, it's great that there's a lot of platforms, really, and like I learned this from Mike Hollow. Like someone's always watching your match. There's always going to be like at some point someone might watch that match that you have out on YouTube. So it's always good to like just get yourself out there more, have quality matches and whatnot.
Well, that's what I tell people. They can only see you if you put it out there. There's so many people that have their friends, record their match, but it never gets out or it never gets seen. And it's like, dude, if the promotion's allowing it, or anybody's allowing you to put out the footage. Oh,
yeah.
Because you don't know, and you don't know who's on YouTube. You don't know who's scrolling in the night through Facebook or Instagram.
Exactly.
And it just shows up in their algorithm because you tag your wrestling, and all of a sudden they're like, I like this. And you got a promoter from another state hitting you up. You have somebody, on a national level saying, hey, let's give you a chance. It can happen, and that's just the world we live in. And people go to these social platforms.
That's how you build up social media too, by uploading like whatever match you had or a clip or not, and then there you go. Like someone might look through the feed and they'll see your video and they'll give you a follow. That's another way to grow.
It is, and it's a great tool. If you know how to utilize it, it's a really great tool to take advantage of social media and growing that fan base. I feel because you can only do so much of the show. You can only interact with so many people before it's curtains are out, a lights call. Honestly, if you're the heel, sometimes you're not even coming out there. You don't have, then there's like no merch tonight, whatever it is. But, through the internet, you can find the people that do like the heels or are, fans of heels. Me, I'm a fan of heels. I like seeing the bad guys win, especially in pro wrestling. I just do. I've always have as a kid. And like, so, but at shows, they never come out. So seeing, people on the internet, you can interact. You can get that other fan base kind of going and jump started. And again, they're going to follow you to shows if you're interested. I followed people, all the way to the Pennsylvania line because I enjoyed their wrestling. Fans will go to great lengths, to support wrestlers. And, it's a good place that we're in that supports there. Now, there is a dark side, of course, to the social media. If you get wrapped up in other stuff, it can be a nightmare and a half. And I recommend anybody, if you're doing a wrestling profile or you're doing a wrestling Twitter, Instagram, whatever, just keep it wrestling. Just don't, unless it's like, something really big, don't get into personal like stuff because it always turns into a disaster.
Yeah, it does. That's why my Facebook page is basically just it's like my wrestling page now.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do like two separate accounts. I don't know how people can do that. I get it. People want to separate their real life from wrestling, but it's like I just have it all in one. This is me. This is who I am, And
I mean, to be honest, like I had it the same. Like in beginning of 2020, ever since 2020, I had my real name on there, and I didn't change it because of any reason. But there was a lot of civil unrest that year, it was just in general, and there was a lot of hateful things going on, and all of a sudden my name got thrown in there. And some dude went on there and started like going through my kids' photos and saying things.
That's weird. What the fuck?
Yeah, it was just bogus, and coming, having a biracial family, and I was like, I don't want this. Okay, so I was like, you know what, 99% of the stuff is wrestling, anyways. Boom, doing the same, and I did. I just changed the name, and some people were like, why'd you do that? I'm like, because I don't want to deal with the internet people. I just want to deal with them as my character. I don't want to deal with them as me because they don't want to deal with me as me either. Believe me, I'm a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? And it is hard to kind of split that line because all of a sudden it's like, oh, what page do I got to go on? What character do I got to play? Who am I? It's like, you stop thinking you're two different people.
That's why I just don't respond to any any messages most of the time.
Yeah, I don't get any anyways. But back in 2020, like I said, I made the flawless mistake in just getting involved in politics and talking about things. And, you know, and like I said, it wasn't even like I picked a bad thing, and I wasn't even saying anything bad. I was supporting, and I still believe, the right side of things. And it just that, you know, there's a lot of racist people in the world. There's a lot of hateful people in the world, and unfortunately, they come out and when these incidents happen, and they're there just to take you down or fight you or be hateful. And it's just like, okay, fine, I can take it personally, but like you start dragging my kid involved and my family involved, it's like,
no, that's messed up.
This is on the internet, first of all, across states. You know, it's just like, come on, really? Like, I'm too old for this crap. Like,
that's why I just try to stay off my phone, man. Stay off the social media unless you have to. If it's for wrestling, I'll post some, you know, for that. But other than that, I just try to stay away from it. It's just negative.
Yeah, you know, and I have, you know, and this year I've kind of, a lot of things have been, I do have to kind of do social media just because that's what I do, social media. But I found it to be easy to kind of like preload stuff, you know, and be like, oh, I'll just put up a week's worth of stuff and kind of just have it timed. So I don't have to spend the actual time on there. And it's not that I don't like to talk to people. I love talking to people, but like I said, sometimes it gets to just be too much and you get wrapped into everybody's problems, not just like one person, but like 50 people. And it's like,
yeah, I'm completely different. I can just stay off the phone, man. That's all you got to do.
Just quit social media. That's the answer.
So I not quit social media, but you know, I mean, for me it's different because I kind of have to be on social media. I have to push my stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I don't push my stuff and I don't post anything, like I'm not going to get no views, and I'm not going to get a paycheck from Google or Meta or Twitter or X or whoever's giving me over there, and all my money will just dry up. But like I said, like, but kind of finding that line, and that's what it is of like, how do you do it and like not destroy yourself in the meantime? Because I've seen people just sit on social media reading hate mail for like 3 days and just getting caught up, and I'm like, dude, they're talking about your character. They're not even talking about you. Just throw it away. Don't read it.
That's tough.
You know, but yeah, that's kind of another kind of safety blanket. No matter what they say, well, it's not really you, is it? Now it's your character.
Yeah.
But no, so we got a little sidetracked there, but it is, I do like to talk about that because we are in the age of social media being part of wrestling. You see it not just in the indie scene. Obviously, you see it a lot on the mainstream. I mean, look what's going on with the Rock issue. You know, coming in and kind of taking Cody's, you know, shine there. And, so they're saying, you know, it's to be kind of expected. We're at a 40-year point in Mania. I mean, would you think WWE would do anything different? Probably not. If they could have got Hogan to get cleared, they probably would have had him coming in fighting The Rock, and definitely. Rock would have already been champion. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's WWE style. But social media is different. That's what's kind of changed. Everybody has an input. Everybody has a voice now, and a lot of people, it's just not negative voice, especially in the wrestling community. It gets really negative fast. And I don't really like that. I like to keep about the positive, and that's why, if I see negative stuff, I won't really dwell on it or talk about it or bring it to light.
There's no self. Brush it off.
Yeah, it's you know,
tough sometimes. It is tough sometimes. I understand.
It is, but yeah. So now getting back to the wrestling now, because like I said, we got a little sidetracked there. That debit was pretty good though. Anybody on the horizon? You mentioned Mikey over in NCW. Obviously, you know, you got somebody that you can take a title from, and why not go for the gusto if you're going to go for it? Is there anybody else across the board you or your tag team are kind of looking to overcome, take on?
Somebody who I want to wrestle. You mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Top three. I'll give you my top three right now. Number one, definitely world-class Channing Thomas. Ooh. I think he's great. 2, Ichiban, and then 3, Ricky Smokes.
Wow, those are 3 great matches. Like,
I think those guys are the best in my opinion.
They actually are right now. If you were to
I enjoy
actually,
watching matches is the best way to put it. I enjoy watching their matches like
if
a
you were
lot.
to
It's
give
like,
me
oh,
a
why do
ranking system, well, I mean, VSW, we gave Channing Thomas Wrestler of the Year. He won that
as you
award
should.
hands down. I mean, him and Baka Bella have just run dominance across this territory and beyond.
They're
And
really on a different level, in my opinion.
they
They're really
really are, and they're ahead of the times, and they're just doing things that nobody else is doing. But you mentioned two
yeah.
other that are just also doing things. Um, Ichiban's like, he's right at that, honestly, at that national level. I feel like right there,
He's already on
right there.
MLW.
Like any week, he could just
That's
be called and say goodbye to Ichiban on the New England scene. He's now, been signed somewhere.
anytime now.
And Ricky Smokes him. He's another one. After you guys fight, though, that you guys would make a good tag team. Smoke Show, flop of that. No,
I already have one tag partner. I'm, Guapo Suave, Lex Lozano. I really want to make that tag team work instead of thinking of other guys as my tag team partners. But he would be a pretty good tag team partner.
But I also say you guys would give a good match. It kind of gives me like a vibe of like almost like if you go back in time a little bit to when they had Shawn Michaels take on Rick Martel. Like you had these two like just pretty boy kind of heels just clashing. You guys would give a hell of a show. That should happen in the chaotic ring though.
That would be awesome.
Chase Del Monte is listen. He needs to book that fire this year.
I've trained with him before, obviously with Nepwa and stuff, and like he's really smooth. Like
he is
smooth. It's like it's crazy. It's awesome.
He helped run the class that day that I was down there, and like the things he could do, I was like, wow. It's those like I said, those would be three good choices right there. And I don't know which flag. I mean, well, I could say all three. I mean, it was nice to see you fight Channing Thomas for the title in Limitless. It would be nice to see you fight Itchy Ben on Wrestling Open, and it would be great to see you fight Ricky Smokes in Chaotic. Those three right there would kind of top your list right off. And
like honestly, like it would. I know I would learn something afterwards. By wrestling three guys like especially Channing. Actually, just I would learn a lot just being able to like be in the ring with him.
Would you say you're a humble wrestler, like you take in, you soak the knowledge kind of guy?
Wait, can you repeat that? Sorry.
Would you say you're like kind of like a humble wrestler? Then you kind of soak the knowledge, you take things as a learning experience.
Yeah, of course. I always try to learn something new. If I'm working with somebody with a lot more experience than me.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good trait to have. A lot of guys get a little taste of success. They get a little cocky and they think that
Yeah, I just want to do it. I'm only over a year in. Like I still got a lot to learn, and I just like if there's knowledge around you, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to be better? Is like what runs through my head. It's like you want to be the best, right? Like you're not just in here just to do your thing. Like no, I want to be at the top. So like I want all the knowledge that I can process so I can become a better wrestler.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, New England's like a freaking library. I mean, everywhere you turn, this wrestling knowledge. There's not one person you can't turn around and wrestle and you won't learn something. Like you said, you come from two great schools with many great teachers, and all of them have learned from great guys and girls, and so many, have touched this area, and still there's more, and still there's more. And there's, people on the national level, people on the international level, people that have been known as like John Cena. You got a lot of people coming out of this area that, like I said, no matter who you face, they've maybe have faced somebody that faced somebody, or they faced them personally, or there's something to learn every turn. And that's just, like I said, a great attitude to take with you. That's like I said, hopefully this is going to be a year. Like I said, we put out in the issue of the magazine, we put out a little article about you and saying, to keep a lookout. Because I do personally think this would be a year to kind of break out in New England. We will see you somewhere on IWTV, on Wrestling Open, or, somewhere at Beyond, I feel. And, just kind of making those tag team moves and moving up the ranks is that. I love that, like I said, that Guape Suave tag team is solidified team that you guys come out, you guys got your own thing, you guys are a unit. Like I said, not all tag teams are, and it makes it work. The less wrestle champions, I can't say they kind of thrown together.
Yeah, they are.
They kind of look alike, but they're thrown together.
Yeah, like brings me back to what we talked about earlier about how like tag teams just have to look like they hang out. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like a fan can look at you two and be like, oh, okay, these guys hang out in real life, because everybody, wrestling nowadays, everybody knows. But you got to look at someone, okay, these guys are real. I can see these guys hanging out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're friends, or like they're friendly, or whatever. It's not just these guys are forced to work together.
It just has to come off as genuine.
Yeah, sometimes you get two guys that come and be like, oh, these guys were forced to work together tonight. You can tell by their face, or they're not even happy to tag. It's like, oh, but no, seriously though, like I said, I'm a big tag team person. I've always it's just been something that's been interesting because singles, yes, singles wrestling is great, but the art of tagging, and not just like I said, a tag team match, but being able to properly, flow with your partner and make it, a solid piece. Like I would say, like I said, watching people like the Heart Foundation, or just people that just work so well together that you would well, they were family. I mean, but like British Bulldogs back in the day, Demolition, any of those teams that I named, and even as time got on and you got into newer teams, they kind of took a piece of that. But then WWE for some reason started throwing people together, and then the indie scene kind of followed suit, which they normally do. That WWE is kind of a standard, which I hope they would kind of drop soon because honestly WWE is great, but there's a lot of great wrestling out there that's not under their banner. But they kind of did the same thing in some aspects. So when I see a real tag team, like I said, I always just kind of applaud and kind of follow because there's not many left. Same thing with managers. Not many managers left in the game. Sidney Bacabella, probably the top manager in the nation. Him and Channing, like I said, they're a very unique pair. You don't get that often. If Channing was just running solo, yes, Channing's a great wrestler, but without a great manager, he can only get so far.
They're a great combo. Like I said, I love watching both of them.
And he's a guy that I got to see, kind of come up through NCW and move the ranks through, Top Rope and all these other promotions, and then all of a sudden, it was Limitless, Beyond,
the most world champion, yeah.
Even spots in WWE at one point, opening the door for Goldberg. That was a big pop in my house. I was watching with a bunch of friends, and we went nuts when we saw him open that door. We just went crazy, but yeah, now he's world champion, and he's a good champion. I think he's probably one of the best since MJF in Limitless. He's top dog right now, and he can back what he says, but I said, you're going to move up there in the ranks, hopefully, and, you'll get to challenge him maybe this year, not this year, maybe early next year. But
Limitless is actually another place, definitely at the third place that I really want to get to this year. And with Let's Wrestle.
Getting into the amateurs?
Limitless, yeah, Limitless Wrestling, hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I know Let's Wrestle's kind of like under their banner, but yeah, getting into their
actual. So like on the show, yeah, I want to get on hell yeah.
Kind of, they like the WWE, and then they got their NXT there, and it's kind of like
that's how I look at Let's Wrestle. Yeah,
yeah, but I was impressed at that show because I would never say that was any different than any top ranking indie show. That was very exciting. It had great matches. And you have great talent there too. Another one that I saw come up, BRG, he was on the show. Another great kid, in the industry.
Oh, yeah, BRG, yeah.
And these are a lot of the guys and girls, like I said, I used to see in NCW and all through New England. Now they're, moving on and on and on. But yeah, I could definitely see you in Limitless as well, under the, the Limitless banner. That would be great as well. Like I said, sky's the limit, I think. That's kind of what we wrote. I mean, I was really impressed, I said, how you pulled it off and how you made it work. Winning that triple threat match and kind of snagging that, NCW, accolade there. The Ox Baker Cup been in existence for quite some time. NCW's been in existence for quite some time. People don't know that they've been running 20+ years. Like they're an elder promotion. They've been hanging around for a bit. We've seen a lot of people come in and out of there. And JC Marks has done a hell of a job every year. Just keeps on entertaining. And
the crowd is great. Yeah, the crowd is great there too. I like the crowd.
The crowd is wild. There's no crowd like Dedham because like the young kids are wild in there. The elder people are wild in there. Everybody's they're on a different level.
Some guy wanted to beat me up right after the after the last.
Oh yeah, and they will. They'll fight you. They don't care their age. They will go at it. They've been. Yeah, it's a different level in Dedham, but I love it. I love NCW. You get the walking tacos. You get all that. Now they put out a magazine too. It's going to be fun this year. I can't wait for that show to come in March.
I'll be there March 8th. March 8th, is it? March 8th. Yeah.
So we will be in.
I'll be there that night.
That one. So let me ask you, where else can fans find you? What shows you got upcoming? How can people watch you?
I got, let's see, February 10th, I got Proving Ground. I'm going to be in the North Shore Rumble. I got WFA coming up. WFA coming up on the 18th in Marlboro, Tackle Box Brewery. And then Top Rope on the 20th. Yeah, February is a little, March is going to pick up a little bit more, but that's my February schedule.
Are you going anywhere? Are you going to Pennsylvania for Mania weekend?
Perhaps, because actually, a promoter was talking about that, and he was like, "There's potential ideas that maybe you guys could work WrestleMania weekend. Who's available?" Obviously, I said I'm available, but it's nothing confirmed yet.
Yeah, no, that's a busy time for wrestling, though. I remember that though. That was the worst part, I think, of 2020. Everybody was booked for WrestleMania weekend, and then it got shut down. And nobody was expecting WWE to get shut down, and that got shut down. It was like, oh shit, we're done. But yeah, Mania weekend's always fun. They have a lot of different shows going on. So you're in the North Shore Rumble. We'll be in effect that would be another accolade to pick up right there. You win that. Then when you get the challenge, the champion Kellen Thomas.
Oh no, I think he's in the Rumble. I think they said the Rumble for the title, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you can walk out of there as Proving Ground champion.
Oh, I will. I'm going to dump everybody out. Everybody's going out. No one's going to dump me out. I'm too fast, too quick, man. No one's going to be able to.
We'll be up in that little skybox on the top there looking down. We got those good seats, but can't wait for that one. That's, Proving Ground's another one that's kind of like NCW for me. It was, I remember seeing, some not previews, flyers for it, and it had like video game like graphics. I'm a big video game person. I love games. And I think at the time it was like GTA graphics. I was like, oh, this looks awesome. This is dope. I got to check this out. And I started Googling Proof Ground, and I met Derek Simonetti and got, seen him from NCW too. He was on the commentary and started following his program and his promotion. And he's another one, very innovative, puts out a great product, a great show. And then he's got the other thing going for him. He's got the toy line, and he's got cards. He's got so much creativity.
Gotta make your money.
Definitely. And one last question for you, this is what I like to ask everyone, is where can people follow you on social?
I only have Instagram and Facebook, but at Diego Atocha, ATOCHA, and that's really where you can keep up with me with all. Because I just be posting a lot of wrestling stuff nowadays. All my social media, Instagram, Facebook is all wrestling. So it's easy to keep up with me.
Very, very good. And thank you for coming on. Thank you. We can't wait to see you wrestle soon. We'll see you at the North Shore Rumble.
Oh, yeah, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
Have a great day. Versace Stoner out.